Friends, holy bejeez, what a day in the market once again. What a different market we're dealing with at this point. And obviously, that I'm waiting for someone to hit the switch here, but things are going good at this moment. I swear I don't have a magic crystal ball, but I this is kind of what I thought was going to happen here these next 2-3 weeks as quarterlies start to come out, tariff news, good or bad. We're seeing the inflation, everything steady. The worst situation that we're dealing with right now in the market is that Jerome Powell and Trump are fighting, and Trump might win. That's the kind of where we're going at this point. He might get Jerome to get out of there, and if he does, obviously there will be rate cuts 100% because Trump will appoint someone in there that he has full control over in telling them what to do. So we will see the market shoot up on top of that too. So here is the situation today. The market did very well, very, very well. And the market knows it's a feeding frenzy out there because we're getting quarterlies. We're about the second day in, third day. Well, no, just the second day into big quarterlies. Tomorrow we still got more quarterlies. Next week, a lot more quarterlies. Next week, next 2 weeks is really like these are the big mama jamas coming out. But so far everything's there hasn't been any big shockers. Tesla missed. I don't know why people would be shocked about that. Trump came out here and said, hey, we're not going to be as heavy on the tariffs. As I said, there's going to be wiggle room. They still will pay, but there's going to be wiggle room, and things are going good here. So with that, we're seeing the market, straighten out here a little bit, and investors are happy for the moment. And will that continue? We'll see here. I think we'll have more green here in the next 2-3 weeks here than we will red, unless something terrible were to happen here. But right now, all in all, investors are wanting to be in the market. People are wanting to buy. They're wanting to make money. They're wanting to get in positions, especially with a lot of earnings coming out here with a lot of companies that are very a lot of us think that some of these companies that are coming out here are going to have major big quarterlies, groundbreaking quarterlies, and they could these next 2 weeks, this could be the last big money movement making weeks here for some stocks. If you're day trading, short trading, whatever you're doing, people aren't going to miss this moment right now. People are making money in this market. So you've got Palantir, you got Big Bear, two different situations. Even SoFi did really good today. A lot of bank stocks really did good today. Everything had a good day. Everything. The S&P ran up here, closed a little lower than expected, but still, just a nice day in the market. Just a nice day. So let's go right into Palantir here. So Palantir, as we expected, it is right back, flushed over $100. Okay, this is not a surprise. I don't think this should be a surprise to anyone. I know I've been yapping my mouth about Palantir going back over $100. We're there. In the situation is this didn't last long. I mean, back in February. It's April now. We're towards the end of April, but back in February, Palantir was trading at almost $130. So just this little dip here, if that was the worst that we had to deal with Palantir, that's not good for people that are not in Palantir at this point, okay? And the reason why I say that is because Palantir still is on this chart path to where I do think it could have an Oracle path. I'm talking about the company, the stock Oracle, where it just, back in 2023, 2024, just amazing movement. I mean, just radical movement in that stock. So Palantir here is obviously in this situation of still heavy growth. And not to mention, we've got quarterlies coming out here May 5th. And these quarterlies should be the biggest they have ever, and they could be over $1 billion. They could be flushed over $1 billion. A lot of us are thinking they're going to be. So this is why you're seeing Palantir run so heavy right now. And they just locked up this NATO deal. I mean, it's all around good news. I'd be very careful betting against Palantir at this point. Now, why I said it's bad, it's a bad situation of we didn't see Palantir sell off more. That's essentially what I'm saying with this dip that we've gone through since February here. From, DeepSeek to the tariffs to here we are now. Palantir barely went below $70 for just like a split of a second. And then it held that 70 into the 80s, most of it. And that was the worst we saw. So it really, it showed that there's a huge support system around 70, $80 that, people are not letting go of Palantir. And, besides a recession, that might be the worst that we go through here this year. If we do see, obviously, I'm not projecting that we're going to see a recession, but I do think that there still is. I don't think we're like I don't think we're in like the safe zone at this point with the market. I think the market's still very deadly. You need to be very careful with it, and don't be naive that it could just switch on you like that. So be careful how high be careful if you're buying in on green days at like crazy highs. Now at this point, you kind of have a get out of jail free card at this point, because we know that a lot of these stocks that are about to produce quarterlies are going to run more. I fully suspect that Palantir by this time next week could be well into like 105, 110, who knows, maybe more. It's looking to run. Palantir wants to run. We already know people are willing to pay these prices with Palantir, so why wouldn't Palantir continue to, exercise this flow of what it's in right now? Like I said, I've talked so much about Palantir's deals, from just everything. I mean, it's the past 24 months, we have watched the stock go from $7, $10 on a good day back then, when it hit a double digit, to 15 to 20, 28, getting into the 30s, 40s, and then getting into some like mind-blowing numbers of 50, 60, 70, 80, and here we are now at $100 again. Palantir has no problem running very fast, very, very fast here, and this is a situation that, we could be in a situation where Palantir is about to produce this huge quarterly. And with this quarterly that we're going to see, this could be the one that, allows Palantir to maybe stay in a triple digit number. Maybe this is the quarterly to where Palantir just gets out of control. It just gets stupid. It just gets stupid at this point. It just gets they just get stupid rich off this at this point. Palantir undoubtedly is going to make people rich, into the future here, because here's something that you have to think about. Whether you're buying, selling, you're compounding Palantir right now, there is a real conversation a brewing here in a lot of our minds that Palantir, undoubtedly, if it continues on this path that it's headed on right now, it could just be a small amount of time here, a blimp, and we're talking about stock splits. Okay, stocks do this all the time. It's not like it's rare, especially AI stocks, to get out of control here. So if we continue to see Palantir achieve these 40, 45, 50, 55% movements on top of their every quarterly, that's going to be a dead giveaway that we're going to keep running. Yeah, we could be dealing with a stock split here very soon into the future. And two, Palantir just locking up this NATO deal that they just did, that right there, what it's going to do, it's going to unleash clues here when this quarterly comes out. So that deal has essentially not even really touched these quarterlies that are about to come out. So if these quarterlies that are about to show themselves, and we're about to see the light being shined on them, if they're flushed, if they're flushed over $1 billion here, maybe they're more. Who knows? Maybe they're a lot more. I can dream here. I can giggle about it, but that right there will tell us, okay, we've got $1 billion. We've got more than $1 billion. Plus, we just locked down this other deal. My God, Q2s that come out here for, after that, who knows what they could be? We could be in massive, massive growth potential. So this is how stocks get out of control, 100%. Like, listen, we just watched NVIDIA go from, the past 3 years, we've watched NVIDIA go from this company that was making really good money to holy crap, they are making all the money. I mean, where they can buy a planet. So obviously NVIDIA has a very, unique situation with their chip, but Palantir is in a very unique situation too. And it would just take the right deal, the right movement, to where it finds itself getting in a very, a very unbelievable place with revenue. So Palantir it's fun because Palantir is going into this place right now where it's getting into just where they have money to spend. They have money to buy other companies. They have money to push away competition. They have money to just do what they want to do. And that's what big investors like. That's what ETFs like. That's what Wall Street likes. That's what Wall Street looks like. They look for companies that have money. They have money to play around with. They have money to where they can get in trouble and pay off their troubles. So, and that's what you're seeing right now with Palantir. They're in that situation, and they're by the end of the year, what are we going to be talking about in December? Is Palantir going to be like, are we going to be looking at 2.5, $3.5 billion quarterlies? I don't know. I mean, that sounds crazy right now. I get that sounds crazy, but think if we keep moving on this percentage wise on top of each quarterly, we can dream. We can dream, can't we? So I'm excited. I think this is so fun. This is like my Super Bowl. I love this kind of stuff. I love seeing what's going to happen here. But even even if you're trading in and out of Palantir, it is easily allowing you this wiggle room to, buy in low, sell high, buy in low, sell high. Obviously lows are laughable at this point, but we've got 2 more days in the market, 2 more days, and the market's been doing great so far. Tuesday, Wednesday here have been very good. Monday, I think a lot of us bought in. I suspect that we'll see some sell-off here by the end of the week, I would imagine. Friday, there's no earnings, so Friday people could just be bored and they'll take their profit and they're resetting for next week. Next week should be real good in the market. Next week we've got some huge companies reporting earnings. Okay, so even SoFi is reporting earnings next week. This is a situation where, make sure you're leaving meat on the bone for yourself. You want to be a part of what's going on here, but make sure you're buying the dips, not the highs. Buy the dips, not the highs. These stocks right now, if you're following them, they're allowing you to do that. And the market is not going to run away from you, okay? Even though the market's doing great right now, we're still going to be dealing with tariffs. We're still going to be dealing with uncertainties. I do think that this student loan situation that has occurred here will be not great for the market at some point, and it just happens that Palantir's quarterlies are on the same day that this student loan stuff starts, so that's going to be interesting how the market reacts on May 5th with all this, and that's the day of Palantir's quarterly. A lot of companies are reporting on May 5th, actually. There's a lot. Friends, Palantir, I can't say enough good things about it. Now, talking about BigBear, BigBear is looking to survive the storms 100%. And the biggest thing that BigBear is dealing with right now, it's lack of trust with investors that the stock is going to be able to hold position where it's at right now. Business-wise, BigBear is doing better than it's ever done. And I know that's hard to say and see if you haven't been here long, but BigBear's been getting great deals. They've been doing great. Now, with this quarterly that they're about to release, I do suspect that it will be better, and it could potentially be better than what they even had last year, and they had some decent quarterlies last year for them. But with this quarterly that's coming up, all these deals that BigBear has been getting here since November, October, December, January, February. Was there one in March? There may have been. Someone will kindly tell me, I'm sure. But BigBear is in this position where we could start to see some real nice compounding of money coming in here, especially too just old deals in general, old revenue that's been, compounding into new revenue. I'm excited to see what's going to happen here. This could be a turning point for them. Now, obviously, it's going to take a nice quarterly for people to find more trust, to feel comfortable to continue to buy in BigBear. But BigBear undoubtedly is dealing with this lawsuit situation where, every article that you look up right now is about filing against BigBear if you bought BigBear between 2022, 2023, 2024, because of the situation where BigBear released a statement saying, hey, we messed up our filings, our financials here in those years, and we're correcting them, blah blah blah. People are reaching out to lawyers, and it's not a good situation for BigBear in the sense of it's just bad press. It's bad press, and investors do not like bad press, and it's driving the stock down 100%. I believe firmly that Big Bear, if it was not dealing with this negative news, it would be sitting at least $3.50 at this point, at least, because it's been getting these deals. It's getting closer to quarterlies. These quarterlies should be better. It's hard to say if everything's going to be hitting here at once, but they should be better. Now, obviously, when we look at where the share price has been with volume, volume is, this week has not been good volume-wise. Last week has not been good. Just yesterday and today have been good. Monday, Tuesday, or Monday, and then, last week rough with volume, and that's where we lost a lot of pace with Big Bear here. So I honestly, at this point, I would just love to see Big Bear even touch $3 at this point. Just get it up. It needs to get up and remain in the $3 range just to keep it at a safer, higher number. So when we come closer to this quarterly, I am curious to see what kind of, what kind of numbers can Big Bear bring out here. How confident will people be to push into Big Bear here? But these quarterlies are really going to tell us a lot more about what's coming this year with Big Bear. But listen, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, friends. Like, listen, I am rooting for Big Bear. I want Big Bear to work, but they need money. They need money. They need more deals. They need to get this lawsuit situation wrapped up. They need to talk more. Their new CEO, Kevin, he needs to talk more. He needs to make videos. He needs to come out. He needs to talk. He's got to talk. That's what investors like. They like to hear from the CEOs, and we're not really getting that. We're getting tweets. We're getting paragraphs. We're not, did Kevin really say these things, or is it just his secretary? So that, obviously, he doesn't know this channel or listen to me yet, but if anybody knows him, tell Kevin to make a video, make investors feel comfortable, talk about just the future of Big Bear, what they're doing, what they're going after, about the NATO situation that he talked about on Twitter here, or X, 2 weeks ago at this point. These are things that investors want to hear about. If you're trying to sell something to people, talk about it. Make them like it. Feel good about it. I'm not going to buy something of yours if you don't have really positive things to say about it, and I can't see you as a person. So that, I think that's there's a lot of trust issues right now with Big Bear. People are dealing with this lawsuit situation that undoubtedly could be taking money away from them, and Big Bear cannot afford that right now. They need money. They need a lot of money. They've got debt they need to get down. They need more deals. So there's a lot of negative, but there's positive too. If Big Bear did not get these government defense contracts here in this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, bam, bam, bam situation that we've seen here, this stock probably already would have had a reverse stock split, 100%. It would have been, people would have been, first of all, we wouldn't even be talking about it. Second of all, it would have already happened. 100%. The only reason this company, this stock right now is surviving is because, of all, these contracts that it has received, and people are wanting to see if it can start compounding some quarterlies here. It's going to be a slow process. And 2, it's an AI company that's affordable, and it's very similar to what Palantir does. And 3, Kevin has relationship with the Trump administration. We know he's talking to him. He's been in the military himself. So it's by no coincidence that they're starting to get these defense contracts. Those are the positives. Okay. Can we see more? Can we get more out of this? I don't know. We're hoping the best here. We're hoping the best, friends. Listen, I really do wish everyone the best of luck. We've got 2 more days of the market. I am curious to see what this market is going to bring. Like I said, do not trust the market 100% right now. It's going good, and I'm rooting for it. But, we have been fooled more than once at this point with this market. So don't be careful how high you're buying it. Leave yourself meat on the bone. Like I said, leave yourself some wiggle room to get in and out of positions to make profit, to where you have moments to get in and out, because I do think that when the student loan, May 5th, when this student loan stuff hits, it could trigger some fear in the market. 100%. That could be the next big crash. I wouldn't say big, but just the next, nice pullback in the market. Okay, so be careful where you're buying in here. If you're trying to make weekly trades, monthly trades, whatever you're doing here, friends. Take care of yourself. Bye, everyone.